Good morning on this nice, warm April morning. Well, that's from someone from Buffalo. First of all, I want to thank our extraordinary leader of the DOT, Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez, for all the work she has done leading this effort. And she's done such an incredible job, such an extraordinary public servant. When I think about public service, you come right to the top of the list there. And Frank Hoare, our executive director of the New York State Thruway Authority, all those hundreds and hundreds of miles you have to maintain and keep them safe as well. So on behalf of a grateful public, I want to thank both of you. I'm here to say, potholes, your days are numbered, literally numbered. We're counting how many we're taking down. I just took down one. This week we're planning on eliminating over 44,000 potholes statewide. By the end of the month, 175,000. By the end of the year, if we hit last year's number, it's 1.3 million, but I think we're going to go even higher than that. Are we not? Okay, we're going to break last year's record. This will be the biggest year in state history for road paving. I'm here to say that we understand the pain of frustration of drivers. I mean, think about the typical mom having to take her kids to school, hits a pothole, and all of a sudden there's damage to the wheel axle, the tires, some other damage. Now has to take time to go into a repair shop and wait and pay the cost of that repair. Now that's a mom who's also paying astronomically high car insurance, also paying more than $4 a gallon starting now because of the war in Iran. So our drivers are under enormous stress. So if we can help alleviate that by right now aggressively going after those potholes, that is our mission. So we're going to do that for everyone here. We're also, it's about our economy. Our economy requires our delivery trucks, our commercial vehicles, our large tractor trailers to be able to go smoothly without disruption and at the speeds that are allowed by the speed limit, not having to go under speed because of potholes. So we've made major investments to get this done. It doesn't happen by itself. My first budget, we allocated $33 billion for an historic 5-year plan. This year, we've invested an additional $800 million to cover costs and facilitate 180 road projects. Now, this is on top of our Pave Our Roads projects in Bridge, New York. So that's more than 4,000 miles of paving for this year alone. Thruway authorities similarly making huge investments as well in their budget. And last month, we announced over $23 million for Nassau, Suffolk, and Erie counties. So this is also part of our budget. You don't hear as much about it. You're hearing more about the efforts to build more housing by changing the seeker laws, reducing our car insurance costs by changing our laws there as well, and making sure that we address challenges with our climate law, which we all believe in. We just need a longer roadway. But while you're going to hear about those, don't forget that a budget is also about delivering basic services. And I want to put a special exclamation point on that here today by coming here. That's why we're fighting for everyday New Yorkers to buy that home, to be able to afford that tank of gas, to have their utility bills not keep going higher and higher and higher. So that's what we're looking forward to getting done. I want to thank our commissioner here. If she has any comments on what we're doing. In fact, I have a question for her. Tell us why, after such a brutal winter, we have more work than ever before. Tell us what this meant to have a statewide weather event that was quite extraordinary. Every corner of the state now has roads that have been compromised and why we need to do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, our Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks very much, Governor. Well, short answer to your question is it was a brutal winter, as you stated. What a winter it was. We had extremely long periods of cold, and the freeze-thaw cycle that takes place when we have a lot of snow, ice, it freezes for long durations of periods, it gets in the cracks of the roadways. When we have that one day where it actually warms up long enough, we get a little bit of water seepage. Bottom line is it cracks the pavement. And the freeze-thaw cycle this year alone was very extreme across the entire state because our winter impacted not just Western New York, but the entirety of the state. We saw record snowfalls in Long Island, 3 feet. In the city, 2 feet of snow, repeatedly, the Hudson Valley. Here in the capital region, some of our highest snowfall totals over the last decade. So it's taken a hit on the roadways. And With the governor's investment that she's made across the board, $600 million is going this year alone in 2026, to pave over 2,150 lane miles of road. That's 180 paving projects that she just announced, and we are at it. And we're at war with the potholes. We're going after it. The blitz has begun. She's done the first one, and the numbers she stated are where we're headed. So the bottom line is that please, 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 we've got a lot of people out there, state DOT workers, they're public servants, they're out there to protect you, to maintain a safe, efficient, reliable, and equitable transportation system across the state. In order to do that, the public, please, recognize they're out there, slow down, put your phones down, move over, and pay attention to the task at hand, which is driving. Please, please keep them safe. Thank you, Governor, for all the investments that you make.
Frank, is there anything I overlooked? Did I overlook anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Kara. Any? On topic.
Hi, Governor. So last week, Albany Mayor Dr. Dorsey of Clears announced a citywide initiative to help fill the potholes here in the city in a matter of 10 days. The work that you guys are doing at the state level, does it intertwine with what the city of Albany is doing and maybe any other municipal crews or what they're doing for their particular communities?
Yeah, it's all interconnected, absolutely. The public doesn't know the difference when they cross a state road to a county road to a city road. They just don't want to deal with potholes. So our efforts are in conjunction with our localities, and we encourage all of our local mayors and supervisors, and I used to work on this as a town board member. You know, we had a large community, a lot of lane miles to make sure it was paved every year, so I know how important it is. It's just one of those basic functions of government that get overlooked, but if you don't put the money behind it, it doesn't happen. So that's what we wanted to accentuate here today, is our massive investments to get this done, working in conjunction with local officials. Again, our goal is to turn potholes into not holes.
Any other pothole questions? LCA, no pothole questions?
Is there,
Into a spending conversation.
is there anything someone at home can do? Say, can they call in and say, I have a bad pothole? Is there anyone they can contact? Or should it just wait for you to get around to it?
No. We want to hear from our public. I would say this. Call 1-800-POTHOLE. Can't be easier than that.
Any other pothole questions? Yeah,
The South Mall arterial over there has about 100,000 potholes. I just think it's my civic duty to bring that to your attention.
It's already on our list. Gonna happen.
Any other potholes? Okay, let's do our president.
All right. Thank you.
Do you have time for public comment? Oh, the LCA has opened up.
All questions were answered at the Easter egg roll yesterday, so those who attended got exclusive rights. Today, sorry, you're out of luck.
Okay, go ahead. Tomorrow, lawmakers supposed to come back, pass another extender.
Yep.
How long will it be for, and how many more do you expect to have to go through?
We're still working out the details on the length of each extender. Certainly, we gave a longer one because of the religious observances of Passover and Easter. There's 2 more days of Passover continues until this Thursday. So I think we're going to make sure we make accommodations for those religious observances again. So I hope as few as necessary. I'm always game to have it done on time. Absolutely. That's why we start in January.
Will it be another week extender because they're supposed to be off and they expect to be?
We'll get that to you when I get back to the office. I was still making that decision before I came here.
So progressing? I mean,
I can't hear you.
You've had progressive talks?
Oh, yeah.
Proposal that lawmakers have seen?
No, we speak all the time. You know, we have had many meetings with the leaders. Absolutely. Literally starting in the fall on a regular cadence, and more intensely since our budget was released, and even more intensely in the last few weeks. So there is a lot of communication, a lot of give and take, a lot of conversations going on, which I think are really important to the process. And certainly, you know, they then go back to their conferences and let them know the status of where we're at and bring back feedback. So it's an ongoing process.
Governor, last year there was about $25 million in the budget for abortion provider support services. That hasn't yet gotten to facilities. I'm wondering, the DOH says that the process can take time with procurement, but are you satisfied that it hasn't gotten to that
No,
yet?
I'm not satisfied. I want that money out. These providers need to have it. It was passed with the intention that they have it as soon as possible. So, no, I want that money out now.
Governor, as you're talking about the climate goals and the need to pause some of them for affordability measures, are you considering raising the solar goals, because those are ones that the state's actually hitting and there's a lot of demand for that? Is that something that you're considering in these in your proposal?
No, that's one. We've already met our goals for community solar ahead of schedule, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's very rarely covered. So we're just looking at the whole overall objectives of hitting the emissions targets by 2030, 2050. Those are the main goals we're talking about. But I want to be very clear. We're not taking our foot off, I was going to say the gas. We're not talking about gas. We're talking about renewables, wind, solar, battery storage, et cetera. I'm continuing those investments. Despite the headwinds out of Washington, my challenge now is I want to have more wind built, more solar built. But when those tax incentives that made it viable for a lot of companies to do are eliminated by the federal government, they don't want to do the projects now until this era is over. I can't do anything about that aspect, but the parts we do have control over, I will continue working aggressively to move us into the clean energy future. I'm committed to it.
One of the sticking points on your auto insurance proposals is some lawmakers aren't convinced that insurance companies will actually lower rates as a result of the cost savings that they would have for those companies. Is there any way that you can ensure that those companies will follow through and actually lower rates as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a law in the books that caps how much insurance companies can make, right? So they're going to make more money because their costs are going to go down because of our change. And this is not me saying so, it's proof of other states. With the same reforms implemented in other states, they have seen their prices, their cost of premiums go down. That's what my expectation is, and I'm convinced that'll happen. So we're also looking at what we are capping the insurance companies at, because nobody gets off scot-free in this one. I don't want excessive profits made by the insurance companies. I don't want the trial lawyers to keep lining their pockets from all these outrageous cases they bring and have these, these jackpot payouts, because you know who's paying for that? Our drivers, the ones who are dealing with potholes, dealing with the high cost of gas, dealing with all their energy costs, and now they have these outrageous, #1 in the nation. I like to be #1 in a lot of things, not in highest cost when it comes to car insurance. That's what I'm going after.
So you're considering a lower excess profits cap?
Yep.